Welcome to Sister Talk TV show. Hello, I'm your host, Deetra Kelsey. Have you heard? We have breaking news. Oh yeah, so soon as I walked outside my door, people were yelling and cheering, cars were honking their horns. I guess I should say New York City taxis were honking their horn. Biden won. My gracious, Biden won. Were you surprised? Hey, you're watching Sister Talk TV show, and we are here to talk about the election and also what else is happening in the world, in your world. Sitting right next to me is Akua, aka the Great Akua.
Amen.
She's an entrepreneur and a child of God.
Yes, most importantly.
And as you can see, we know who she represents, right?
I represent Christ, but I definitely stand in agreement to a lot of 45 policies, definitely for sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for, I really want to say thank you for coming on the show because it's really hard to get black Republicans to come out the closet. It really does. They just stay in the closet. No, I don't want to be called this, but we don't do that here. Right,
Yeah.
Dana?
That is so true, so true.
Dana, Lady Dana McBroom. She's a regular here on Sister Talk TV show. What can I say about Dana? She's an actress, singer, teacher, chaplain, dancer. She speaks languages. She's traveled all over the world.
Yes. Well, I've been to over 36 different countries.
Yes.
I am an independent politically, so I really vote on views and not by party.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very pleased that the residency is changing in the White House.
Yeah, let's talk about that. The show is not live, unfortunately. I would call out the number to hear what you all have to say. So it's just the three of us. We're going to share what we think about this whole thing with you. Biden won. Were you surprised? Let's start with that. Were you surprised, Akua?
Well, I'm still waiting to see what the final
Count is?
results is because it's not over till it's over, and God has the final say. So His will be done. That's all I can say about
What
that.
about you, Dan?
Well, the interesting thing is that I've spoken to you about this privately. I think it was very important that we had 45 for this past 4 years, for many reasons. Most importantly, that he made people who were racists in this country very comfortable. So without him being in office, we would have had no Black Lives Matter. We would have had all these people who are in these white supremacist organizations who were stabbing us all in the back undercover. They felt comfortable to come out. So I think I've said on more than one occasion, we are living in times of biblical proportions. And had he not been in office, people would have still been under the illusion of freedom. I have to say, it's so funny because I know people of color for years have been saying, oh, this is what's going on. And people are telling them, oh, you're just too sensitive. This is not real. It's all, and when there'd be an incident, they'd say, oh, this is just an aberration. It's not real. But now I think even people who support 45 understand what is going on, whether they agree with it or not.
Agree with them or not, yeah. I hear you. I hear your silence.
Can I just really quick? I have to correct something.
Sure.
BLM was started under Obama's administration. So let's just get that.
No, we're not saying that it started. I'm not saying that it began under 45. I'm saying that it became more publicized and more popular because even for instance the Me Too movement, with the African American woman who began that movement, she was not known really until the European American women came out supporting it, and she was almost put in the background until
she still is, don't you think?
In a way, that's what I'm saying. But so it's not that these things began, but the fruit, things are planted. Like they say, you thought you were going to put me under the ground, but you didn't know I was a seed.
A lot of people were disappointed that the election came so close the voting came so close. So we're looking at what, 2 million, maybe 3 million difference, and
Yes.
so forth. I mean, were you all surprised? That's, I'm going back to my first question, and I'm piggybacking on this one. Were you all surprised that it was so close?
I definitely was surprised because honestly, I've looked at Biden. I was a Democrat until Donald Trump. You understand?
Yes,
I voted for Obama twice, regretfully in the second term. I started realizing, why am I voting against my faith? You know? And then as a businesswoman also too, I figured, it's time for a change. And let's let a businessman figure out a way to run this country, and at the end of the day, economy, which was one of his biggest things that it ended up being, one, I'll say. Basically, as far as the economy, he was able to get that back on track and make us the best in a lot of different things, lowest unemployment rate for African Americans.
We're going to take this video, we're going to come back to
Okay.
what you're saying. We'll take this video and just take a look.
We both know tensions are high. They can be high after a tough election, one like we've had. But we need to remember, we have to remain calm, patient. Let the process work out as we count all the votes. We're proving again what we've proved for 244 years in this country. Democracy works. Your vote will be counted. I don't care how hard people try to stop it. I will not let it happen. The people will be heard. Our journey is toward a more perfect union, and it keeps moving on. In America, we hold strong views. We have strong disagreements, and that's okay. Strong disagreements are inevitable in a democracy, and strong disagreements are healthy. They're a sign of a vigorous debate, of deeply held views. But we have to remember, the purpose of our politics isn't total, unrelenting, unending warfare. No, the purpose of our politics, the work of the nation, isn't to fan the flames of conflict, but to solve problems, to guarantee justice, to give everybody a fair shot, and to improve the lives of our people. We may be opponents, but we're not enemies. We're Americans. No matter who you voted for, I'm certain of one thing. The vast majority of almost 150 million Americans who voted, they want to get the vitriol out of our politics. We're certainly not going to agree on a lot of issues, but at least we can agree to be civil with one another. We have to put the anger and the demonization behind us. It's time for us to come together as a nation to heal.
Oh, wow. We're finished with that? Okay, wow. I saw your face. Whoa. That came on last night, Friday night. And Zaki, he made a comment. He said something about, wow, Biden's talking very presidential right now. But
Even with the gaffes?
even with the, I guess what you were saying. But what do you all think about what he was saying? Come together. We're here to agree to disagree. We are family. That's what's basically he
Let's be
saying.
honest with you.
We are American. We are family. I thought the theme song was gonna come on, but
Everything he said to me is like, wah, 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 wah.
why is that? I'm just curious.
Biden, first of all, he didn't even know what position he was running for. They said, I am a Democrat running for Senate. Dude, then he has said he's running in the Harris-Biden administration. Then he doesn't even know what city he's in half the time, what day of the week it is, who he's married to, what team his jacket has on it. Like, dementia has set in, and I don't understand how people can really vote for someone who really need to be going to the retirement house.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, this is like hilarious talk to me because it reminds me so much of the same ridiculous demonization that was done to Hillary, even though I despise, as you know, I despise Hillary Clinton. But remember, the Republicans came out, oh, she's very sick. She's going to die any day now. Why? And this is, it's like, it's a Republican mantra that this is what they try to do, act like people are sick. Now, as I said that when Reagan was in, he had dementia. He did, but he still ran 2 very successful administrations. And thirdly, I'm tired of people who have all this scripture in their mouths and hate in their hearts. And because we've seen, I'm not going by what someone says, I'm going by what I see them doing. And I know 45, even though he was always talking about, oh, you know, we're Christians, he kept doing very un-Christian-like acts. He kept saying very un-Christian-like things. So don't tell me that you're a Christian, because I look at what you do and not what you say.
You know
Well,
what?
thank God. God doesn't judge us according to the same measures as other people at the end of the day. Here's the thing. You got to separate the personality from the policies. And if you are a Christian, then you will vote according to your faith. And if you do that, it's very clear what side you should be voting on. You will have to compromise yourself a lot to continue to be a part of the Democratic Party.
So you think, on all honesty, do you think Trump is a Christian? Is Christian right?
Listen,
Okay, you
that's
just
between
said.
him and God,
Right.
first of all. I don't have a hell or a heaven to put him in. But what I do know is Trump is for the church to be open, and the word of God must prevail and must move forward, period, point blank. So anybody that is trying to shut down the church and the worship, the coming together of the church, God is not for that.
Well,
Now-
see again, maybe as perhaps because of my particular denomination, I'm a Unitarian Universalist, and we have had a debate within our own church about whether because a building is just an edifice. God is everywhere. When you walk out your door, you should see God in the trees, in the flowers, in the birds, in everything around you. To say that you cannot worship God because you're not in a building on Saturday or Sunday or whenever you deem to be the Sabbath is really insane, because what happens to you when you're, as I said, I've traveled all over the world. I've been in some backwater places where people had no running water, nothing. And they didn't have a building to be in a church, but they were still very godly people. And
I never say anything about a building. Anywhere where they're gathering, they get shut down. They could be in cars gathered. They could be outside gathered, and they are facing heavy penalties, fines, a lot of persecution. You understand? And we know who's behind persecuting the church.
Before we went to the video, you were giving us points of why basically you support Trump. Can you finish with that? You said economics.
Yeah, the economy. He got African Americans, Hispanics, women to the lowest unemployment rates in basically about history, or at least since like 1950 or something like that. We became the energy independent as far as oil and gas production. You see how low the prices of gas are right now. Historically black colleges, he got them funded for 10 years. Guaranteed funding. You know, under Obama, they had to keep on coming back asking for money, and some were in risk of being shut down or going bankrupt or whatever. It's a lot of different things that he has put into place, you know, as far as the First Step Act. You know, a lot of people that were incarcerated under Biden, who also called people of color super predators, and somehow people forgot about that, gave them a pass. That he has released a lot of them and pardoned them. You understand? A lot more on track to come out, you know, behind that. There's just a lot of stuff that Trump has done, but because of the media doing such a great job, the mainstream media, people are not aware of those things, and everything they say about him is negative.
I want to address
negative,
that.
negative,
You know,
negative.
he came out with a baseball bat, just popping people's heads. You know, anybody that disagreed with him, they didn't even have to agree with him. I remember he was running. He told one fellow Republican, "Look at her face." You know, to me, he just wasn't a likable person. Although he may say that he was going to do all these things that he was going to, that you said that he did. He did do
He
that.
did everything. He built the wall. He said he was going to build a wall. He built the wall.
Where's the wall?
He did everything. It's on the border. It's like 400
That's
miles have been
crazy.
completed. These are facts.
Let me,
This
can
is
I,
a fact.
you know, well, you know,
Is there a wall? Do you know about the wall?
I,
There's a
as a matter of
wall.
fact, I have family in San Diego, and there is no wall. There are pieces of walls, but you know there is no wall. And like I said, we can have our own opinion, but you can't have your own facts. I have a list here of all the pardons that presidents have done over the years since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And you talk about 1950. I was alive in that time. Perhaps you're too young to have been alive in that time. I was alive at that time, and this business about you know helping African Americans is crazy. The list of all the pardons of all the presidents, Donald Trump is on the last one on the list. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is the highest. He gave out 2,819 pardons, and we go down Harry Truman, Eisenhower, Woodrow Wilson, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon. But Donald Trump is at the very bottom of the list. So you do one or two things to say that you're helping someone, and then you act like you've done so much. And in terms of the economy, when Barack Obama got into office, we were getting ready to get into everyone in the world said it was a world depression getting ready to happen. So he literally pulled us up from the brink. So and the numbers in terms of employment and economy was already going down under Barack Obama. So then you come sweeping in on someone's coattails and say, oh, look what I've done. I mean, that's like being in the ocean and watching the wave come in, and because you're the one that hits the shore when the wave was already happening. This was already happening in terms of the economy, in terms of unemployment. All of that was already in progress. So
When
if you
you're at the
just,
bottom,
if you just,
there's no way to go but up. You understand? So of course, just by natural procession, it's gonna go up. I mean, things happens in cycles. You understand? So it is what it is. At the end of the day, Obama had 2 terms, 8 years. So far, Trump is only at 4. So you can't really compare in totality the 2 presidencies unless they have the same amount of time. Now,
Go ahead,
and I
go
don't
ahead.
even know where you got your facts from, but
they're very, very accessible. Anyone can look them up. You can look them up yourself, and you'll see. I'm
well,
not.
as you see, I didn't come here with any paper.
No,
so.
but it's okay. I'm an educator. I teach in a university, so
That's fine.
I do have my facts in
Okay,
order.
sisters, let's talk about the women. The women that ran. There were more black women, and particularly more white women Republicans that ran for office. What do you all think about that? You know, again, during this, that's number one. The next question is, there were still more white women that supported Trump during this run also. So let's talk about that, you know.
I don't care who supports me, whether they're white, black, person of color. Like, I don't read into who's supporting me. If you support me, you support me. If you don't, you don't. Like,
Well, what I'm saying is that do you think that this election inspired women to really go for it, to go for the office in the Senate, the Congress, just to go for public office in the United States, this election? So I'm asking both of you on
I
that.
think in general, women have just been, reaching for higher
Higher.
levels of success or
Okay.
to have their voice heard more.
You know, also, I find it kind of not strange, but enlightening, or just kind of sort of surprised that there were so many black people that voted for Biden, that really put him in office, despite his involvement in the 3 strikes you're out thing.
Well, I'd like to really address that because I think the crime bill was a travesty. I think it was a horrible thing. But what people don't remember at that time, because again, I say especially if you were not alive during that time, crime was running rampant. And though Biden supported that, it was also endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not, the white man making this law to oppress all. And I'm someone, as you know, who has worked in the prison system. So yes, there's a lot of oppression in the prisons, but at the same time, there are a lot of people who unfortunately need to be incarcerated. Now, I don't say that now, but I have to say, that's why I said I think the law went a little bit too far, but I think that people were fearful. People were very fearful for their lives, especially within the African American, within all communities, all poor communities. I wouldn't even just say communities of
I
color.
remember, I was alive during that time, and I do remember that. I remember a lot, no. But I remember that there were a lot of community activists that were against that bill.
Yes,
They
yes.
were. They said you all need to put infrastructures there for employment,
Yes.
job training, and all
That
that.
should have been the focus.
That should, yeah, absolutely.
That
I
should,
remember
that's why I said I think that the crime bill was a travesty.
Travesty, yeah.
And I think that a lot of, let's say, middle class and upper middle class people of color they were also, I mean, remember, the police force in this nation was created to protect those who had against those who had not.
Right.
That's why it was created to begin with. So those people began to put themselves in that category. Oh, I have something. Someone's going to take this away from me. There's going to be crime. And they didn't care who was punished. And not realizing that in this country, unfortunately, because of the historical background of this nation, that it didn't matter what your financial background was. When cops saw you, they just saw the color of your skin and didn't know unless they were going to check your wallet first. They didn't know what was in your wallet.
Let's talk about Stacey Adams. Stacey Adams had a lot to do with.
You mean Stacey Abrams?
I'm sorry.
Yes, Stacey.
Oh wow.
That's okay.
My intern.
That's okay. That's okay. Stacey Abrams. Oh, wait,
Stacey Abrams.
I know exactly of whom you were speaking.
Stacey Abrams. Let's talk about her. She was very influential in flipping the state, Georgia.
Yes, yes.
Georgia has been known to be Republican red state for a while. Let's talk about Stacey Abrams and her involvement. What do you think about Stacey Abrams?
I mean, I guess she's doing her job for her party.
Right.
So she's
That's
going to do
it. it
to the best of her ability.
Guilty, yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of races that are still contested and are being litigated. Because personally, I believe a lot of dead people were voting. And
Oh, you really believe that? Seriously?
I seriously
But
do.
why is it that
Even
every time-
even as a landlord myself, I've received ballots from old residents at my residence. You understand? So they knew that this whole mail-in situation was the only way to be able to cheat. Because if you just keep everything the way it is, but of course, COVID was leashed out. They built up enough fear for people to feel like everybody needs to mail it. When there's no verification of anything by doing mail-in ballots, and so by having that, there's a lot of room for error and fraud to go on, and it was already like red flags out there of how serious this could be. But of course, those who wanted it to happen because they already had an agenda would obviously, there's nothing wrong with it. Even though there were states, even on the state level, so many fraudulent things had happened. So we'll see what happens.
I just think it's unfortunate that people, it's that people throw out fraud when they have no proof. I will go along with fraud if you have some proof of fraud, but
The
to
proof is
just
coming.
oh yes, well that's always the last mantra. It'll show up. It'll show up maybe in 30 whenever. I mean, unless you have proof. I mean, it's funny because that's what I said to one of my friends who was a Trump supporter.
Right.
As far as there's a commandment that says thou shalt not bear false witness. Right. And I have seen false witness being borne over and over and over again. Okay. So until someone, because I went and voted. I didn't mail in my vote. I put on my mask and I put on my gloves.
Millions of people could have voted, then the rest of them could have voted, and there would be no question about it
However,
at all.
those who went out to vote, even those who voted early, there were lines
wrapped around
blocks.
Let's talk about COVID for a while.
And especially as a senior, I mean, I didn't want to, I would have had to take a portable seat to be standing on anybody's line
Let's
for
talk
hours.
about COVID. That was the big thing. But before we really get into COVID, I wanted to ask you all something sort of personal. What do you miss since it's COVID? What do you miss not doing or doing?
Having fun, period.
Having fun?
You know, all the like Dave and Buster's I used to take my son to go
Mm-hmm.
play. All of these things got shut down. They just shut down fun.
Fun.
And they're trying to make us it normal to us to just go in shutdown mode. It's not.
How about you?
Well, I have to say, unfortunately, I'm someone who's been working since I was 12 years old. I have always been running, working, doing things. I mean, and working professionally. I mean, in the arts and just out there working. And so I don't mind being at home. I'm having still lots of fun. I mean, my friends are I see friends on Zoom or not.
And
Yes.
That's not the
I
thing.
mean,
God created us for relationships.
I mean, it's
you can't have a relationship through the computer.
well, I don't know.
Just
I
like
mean,
kids can't learn through
well,
this
I don't
Zoom
know.
computer.
I know a lot
They
of
learn.
children that are doing better than they have ever done
because of it.
educationally. And so I
What
mean,
are the
I
numbers?
would prefer us to not have COVID.
Right.
But quite frankly, I don't think that we're really going to get out of this before 2022 because of all the people who think it's not real. Notice Australia. I lived in Australia for a while, and notice they and New Zealand, and they are free.
They're free.
Because and on my little island, my family's from Montserrat.
Right.
They're zero
Free.
COVID
Co-
because everyone followed the rules and they got rid of the COVID.
Well, let me tell
and
you
I think
what I
if we
missed.
just did that, it would be okay.
How do you
tell
get
you.
rid of COVID if it's in the air? Like, how do you get rid of it? That's like you chasing.
Well, that's
You're
because you're not a
like,
you're not a doctor or a scientist.
I don't
Can
have
I
to be.
say
just
what
use
I
my common
miss?
sense.
Can I say what I
Yes.
miss, please? What I miss
Yes.
is my artistic work, and especially
yes.
what
That's-
I did
that's the only
in
thing I do.
November 2019.
Yeah.
And I think you would like this, Akua.
Really?
It's called "Whose Side Are You On?"
I miss that
A
too. I
gospel
miss it.
musical
I miss it. I miss it.
About
Okay,
Gang
I
of
missed
House.
that.
And we're gonna show this video.
We set the foundation on the Sabbath day. but we haven't abandoned it. You know? Well, you know what that is, baby, because I got your back. I got your back. I love you, sister. Even when the line attacks, wherever you may roll, but you know I got you, baby. The way you run.
was
doing
that was a ball. That was a ball.
Tell us just a little bit about your experience working on the show.
Well, you guys have no idea, and I just mentioned it to Akua. My husband passed away the morning we opened the show.
Yeah.
And when you talk about things that we miss, the arts are so important, because otherwise I would have been home just crying away. But the gentleman who played my husband, he knew. He was on the phone with me all the way to the theater. When I got there, he had gotten some little things and made us wedding rings. And my cast supported me. And my husband knew the night before I had to go to dress rehearsal. And the message of this show, whose side are you on? Are you on the street side or God's side? It was so just apropos for the moment, and still remains so. So yes, I mean, I almost wish you could just shoot this. I told you you should get American Airlines or something to fly the cast to a place, and we can do this and
do that.
Yes, the show was the cast was wonderful. My director writer was wonderful. What a wonderful thing to do. So yes, so I would say, the arts, because I'm in a building of artists.
Troy Weeks was who played your husband.
Yes.
I wrote the lyrics. Steve Wallace was the music composer. Just want to do that out. But I enjoyed it. I'm glad that it was very therapeutic. But you did a phenomenal job at just great personality.
While we're mentioning the arts, I just want to do a shout out to Al Roker. Al Roker was just diagnosed with prostate cancer, but he is a weatherman. But he is gone so above and beyond just being a weatherman. He has brought such joy to so many people.
Yeah.
You're watching the weather. He has you laughing.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
He's a wonderful
great guy.
human being.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring.
We
that
wish
up.
him luck. But I want to say, watch out for the encore of Whose Side Are You On? Spring 2021.
Oh, yes.
And you can hit us up on Whose Side Are You On musical.com. Thank you so much. Thank you. So now we gotta get back to business. All right. Kamala Harris. We're gonna get into the COVID. Kamala Harris has made history.
Yes.
She is, if, as you say, if Biden has to step out for whatever reason that may be, Kamala Harris is next in line.
Lord help us. Jesus.
Yeah, but we're going to take this video. Let's look at this video and see what she had to say.
We did it. We did it, Joe. You're going to be the next president of the United States. We did it. We did it, Joe. You're going to be the next president of the United States.
Okay. Kamala Harris, she got baggage. We all know that. I know your eyes flinched, Dana, but let's really talk about that. She was DA in San Francisco, what have you, and there are a lot of people on her that says that she has put a high number of black men in jail. That's pretty suspect. That's still out there. Because I'm not sure about that, but please
Even her
elaborate.
own party members during
Even her
debates
party.
brought it to the attention, and it was in the papers. So that makes two of them, Biden and Harris. And for a community that has heavily voted for the Democratic Party, I mean, for me, I don't understand how they still.
Yeah, I was
so
surprised
heavily
that
for
Biden picked her because.
And she came after him.
Yeah,
during
she
the
came.
debate.
Yeah, she did.
She basically called him a racist, too.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has said some very racist things. And done them.
Well, I thought, a lot of people have called Biden racist and what have you. But, when it comes from a woman, they're really going to go after her. I don't know why, the sexism or what have you. I was just really totally surprised that he picked her as a running mate.
well,
Because, first of all, she's a woman. And second of all, she's a black woman. And Hillary Clinton's, her speech when she was, when she conceded, she said America's not ready for a woman's president. But Kamala is like, a shadow away.
Let me say, as I said at the opening of this program, that I'm an independent. And in terms of who I was supporting during the primaries, I was really supporting Elizabeth Warren. I didn't like and I don't like Biden that much, and I didn't like and I don't like Kamala Harris. But the stand down and stand by is trumps all of their baggage, as far as I'm concerned. I'm so sick and tired of this. They're good people on both sides message, and bottom line, I have nephews who my nephew Jeremiah stopped by the cops for nothing, just walking down the street. He wasn't, and he's not a pants down, backward hat kind of person at all, and just stopped, and it was so hilarious because my nephew, the cops are questioning him like, "What are you doing here?" And he was it's right a block from his home, but it's in a well-to-do neighborhood. "What are you doing here?" And I laughed with him because what did he do? He had his cell phone and he called his grandma. He said, "You want to talk to my grandmother?" And my mother was ready to lay these. "What do you mean you're stopping my grandson?" So I was not for either of them, but I think, like I would say, not all Republicans are racist, but all racists are Republicans. So I would say I would not say that all, because I know several Republicans, but a lot of those that are supporting 45 are they that's just unfortunate.
What about the black folks? What about the black folks?
No, well, even the black folks, I know several of them, even within my own family structure. But they are those who are into, he's going to help he gave me a $1,200 stimulus check. And I'm like, that can't even cover my rent for a month.
So you're looking at black folks, you're looking at the Latina, and they had to play.
Well, the Latinos.
I just want to give a shout out to them. They had to play. They were influential of getting Biden.
But notice, a lot of the Latinos, and now I because that's part of my heritage too. A lot of those folks, those who were from the Caribbean, I'm talking about los Puertorriqueños and los Cubanos, many of them voted for 45. Yes. Those who were from Central and South America went for Biden. And I have to say, the sad part is that a lot of Latinos were really into stopping this wave of Latinos that was coming up from Central and South America, because they were thinking that a lot of the jobs that they had under their belts as Spanish speakers were now going to be given to these new Latinos who were coming in. So I think that is a big issue, that that immigration issue, and it splits the Spanish speaking community. And just like all African people are not monolithic, they have very different views according to their own heritage. The same thing goes in the Spanish-speaking community according to their heritage.
Well, it's interesting you can say that they're not monolithic, but you just basically said that Republicans are monolithic, that we're all racist.
That's not what I said. Don't misquote me. That's not what I said. I said all Republicans are not racist, but all racists are Republican. There's a difference.
Okay,
there.
so what is Biden did? Because he called black people super predators also too, and he said he didn't want his children being raised in a racial jungle.
And when did that happen? Tell me when that happened.
It happened.
No, but I'm saying, but tell me when that happened.
It does matter.
It does matter when it happened.
So do you think that Biden evolved, Dana?
Yes, I definitely do. I think I do not. No, I said at the beginning of this that I was not a Biden supporter, but I think that Biden's association with the Obamas changed his mentality. It's like people who have
you still have association with the KKK
because
with Robert Byrd.
Because people, that's again, you're going back in history when you weren't even alive.
It doesn't matter.
It really does matter.
Slavery wasn't wrong when I was
the person who changed most of the civil rights laws in this nation was one of the biggest racists, Lyndon Baines Johnson.
He did it strategically.
Lyndon Baines Johnson. So I'm not going to say because he was a racist, because he did sign laws that changed the lives of African Americans in this country. And I'm not going to say, well, because of what he was. I'm going by what he is. Same thing with 45. I'm going by what happened while he was in office. I'm not going to go by you know, and I'm a New Yorker. I was fortunate enough to be in some of those crowds that he was
Right,
in at the
right.
time. And the man, I mean, talk about pedophilia, everything. I mean, it's
Oh,
Talking
he
crazy.
has
about
some
who?
of that.
Trump.
No,
Go ahead.
Biden. But anyway, the way he is just disgusting. But anyway,
He
there
has
was
no
something
rape
I wanted
charges
to say,
pending.
but she made me lose my thought.
Yeah, it'll come back
It
when
will
we're
come
talking
back,
about.
yes.
Let's talk about COVID for a second.
Okay.
Okay, COVID. That was the driving force. That was the force that really got Trump to lose the election. Really, how he handled that. You know.
Okay, how did he handle it?
Well, you know, according to the media, according to the news reports,
The
how
fake
he did
news.
not. Yeah. Well, first of all, let's start now. He wasn't going around with masks on, which was very. But a lot of people were dying. There were a lot of people that had gotten sick.
Okay, so
Personally,
let's just be
and
honest.
people that you know. Come on.
Let's just be honest. When he decided to shut down the country, there was how many people that had how many known cases of COVID? Like what, 30 cases or something like that? And everybody else was talking about, oh, we can go to Chinatown and this COVID is nothing. Even Fauci, I believe, had stated that. But the Democrats definitely were acting like it wasn't a big thing. He went ahead and shut it down. Even
But when
though
he
it
found
wasn't-
out, how about when he found out, he still kept it quiet. And he
Yeah.
did tell the news guy that he did not want it to
be a panic. Yeah, because when you cause people to panic and that fear in you, people do crazy
Oh,
things.
please.
But do you
You
think
understand?
that had anything to do?
No, I think he did the best job anyone could have done with a disease that no one had ever experienced.
I'm really trying to be fair here, but it's kind of hard right now.
No, because
he
anybody else-
dismantled the
anybody-
pandemic.
What do you mean he dismantled?
There was
Then
a
he got
pandemic
Obama.
board that was
Yeah.
left for him to handle any pandemic that came along. And what I'm saying about 45, that I think what he did, even up until up into the election, he was talking about, oh, it's almost over, we're rounding a corner, and all of that. So what I think he did in terms of handling it was just dumb. He could have taken the tact, well, let's do the patriotic thing and let's all work together. He could have claimed COVID, and he could have
What do you mean claim it?
I mean, he could have said that COVID is here, and as Americans, let's get rid of this. Let's do. That's what that's what the leader in Australia did, and that's why they have no COVID now in Australia. She said, "Okay, let's do the patriotic thing. Let's all work together. Let's all wear masks." He could have
There's
done
no good
that.
science behind these masks.
He could. Well, whether you believe it or not, like I said, he could have taken another tact
Listen,
in terms of
Obama's
how it was
own,
handled.
Like when the swine flu came out, the H1N1, his task force management team even said that they did everything wrong. The only thing that was their saving grace is that the virus wasn't as
potent.
exactly
As
because they
COVID.
did everything wrong. that you
But
could
that's
think
why
of.
he put. That's
Totally
why he
mismanaged
put a pandemic
like I
office
said,
in charge of in case the next one
Trump
came
went
along.
ahead and closed down the country sooner than anyone
Oh, no,
would
that's
have.
crazy. That's not
Than
true.
anyone. And even the Democrats had congratulated him on how he was handling it in the earlier stages. But when they saw politically that it didn't look good for them, they start now demonizing everything that he did.
Okay, let's go on. We're going to come back to that. But I want to go on black women, domestic violence, and all that. Megan Thee Stallion. I'm not a follower of hers. I really don't know anything about her. But I know that she wrote a letter, open letter, OPAD, to the New York Times. And it's about her being shot in the foot by another rapper, a very well-known rapper. And
I'm glad
she-
you're not mentioning his name. Don't
yeah,
do any publicity.
I didn't write
Well,
it
good.
down. That's
Thank
one
goodness.
thing.
No, that's God stepping in.
Yeah. But, you know, it struck me, and here's what, I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs. She says, I was recently the victim of an act of violence by a man. After a party, I was shot twice as I walked away from him. We were not in a relationship. Truthfully, I was shocked that I ended up in that place. My initial silence about what happened was out of fear for myself and my friends. Even as a victim, I have been met in judgment. The way people have publicly questioned and debated whether I played a role in my own violent assault proves that my fears about discussing what happened were unfortunately warranted. She said she did a lot of self-reflection on the incident, and she realized that violence against women is not always connected to being in a relationship. Instead, it happens because too many men treat all women as objects, which helps them to justify inflicting abuse against when we choose to exercise our own freedom, but our own free will. But this is the one that really got me. The issue is even more intense for black women who struggle against stereotypes and are seen as angry or threatening when we try to stand up for ourselves and our sisters. There's not much room for passion, advocacy, if you are a black woman. And you know, when I saw that last sentence, well, paragraph, it struck me because I thought of R. Kelly. I thought R. Kelly and the teenagers and all that, how our own community are still supporting him.
I've
Yeah.
never supported him. As a matter of fact, I literally get nauseous when I heard his
Yeah.
songs come on the radio. Same thing with, and I'm no difference with Woody Allen either. I was a
Right.
big Woody Allen fan, and then
Right.
when he decided to marry his daughter,
Right.
you know, that just
Yeah,
that just took me out. And I don't want to as young people say now, slut shame, but you cannot promote women as objects and then get complained when you are treated as an object. And that's what I think Megan Thee Stallion, in terms of her whole persona in terms of the music industry, because as you know, I work in the music industry. I've had a couple of major hits in the music industry. So
Plug to the
as
bumper.
a writer, so I really think when you put yourself in that position, because it's and to me the whole thing with all of these rappers too is it's again, which got me annoyed with 45, is being stupid. If you're a woman, don't hang around guys with guns. I mean, even if they feel they need protection, they have enough money to hire people to protect them, to ride in another car so that they're not stopped and get arrested because they are carrying weapons in their cars. You know, it's like people who get arrested because they're carrying drugs. If you
Because-
want to use the drugs, let somebody
Somebody
else
else
in your
can.
entourage carry the drugs.
Well, how you feel about that? What I just read about Megan Thee Stallion.
Well, I don't follow her per se so much, but just in general. I
Well,
think
she's in that Cardi B category.
Yeah, and I definitely
Okay.
don't follow her either. But I'm not a feminist, but what I will say is that I don't think anyone deserves violence.
Right.
You know, people grow up differently, different backgrounds, different mindsets, and different environments that kind of dictate to them what is the way they should present themselves or whatever. And unfortunately, the hip hop culture has made it popular, I guess, for women to feel like they have to dress a certain way, be a certain type of way, and it's very unfortunate. You know, I feel like we do probably need better role models as women of color, but I don't think she necessarily no one deserves
Deserves to be-
violence at the end of the day.
Yes.
You know, but it's really unfortunate because of her environment.
Do you all think so? Are you all saying that she played a part in the violence towards her?
Unfortunately, but it's sad.
Really?
because
Well,
it shouldn't be that
you
way.
know, I don't think, for instance, you know, I don't think that she necessarily promotes violence, but if you're going to hang around with people that you know, I mean, this guy was known for, you know, traveling with people with guns. If I know that you have a gun, I'm not there. I'm like, see you later, and you know, we'll talk at another time.
Wow.
And you, like they say, if you have a gun and you pull it out, it means that you're going to use it.
Well,
So
yeah.
I am a feminist. I'm a hard, dyed-in-the-wool feminist.
Card-carrying
Yes, I
feminist, yes.
am. I mean, even my little Montserrat is a very matriarchal place. I mean, inheritance is passed from women to women,
So-
and not to men. So,
So
I'm
you're saying
a
if you're going to
feminist.
be around people with guns, just expect to be shot?
Yes,
I mean,
yes. I that's what I think. I
You
think.
know, again, like, you know, when I read that paragraph about, you know, the issue is even more intense for black women, I don't think it mattered what she was wearing, what her lifestyle
Oh, no,
was,
no.
or was anything like that.
No.
And yeah, there's some truth in what you all are saying. Be careful of the company that you keep.
Yes.
Because you are one of them also. But the problem I have with her being shot, is that there's no sympathy. towards
Oh no,
her.
I have a
There's
lot
no-
of sympathy for her. I have a lot of sympathy for anyone who suffers any kind of violent
violence.
attack, and this is including men.
Right. In
Because
the way-
our men get in all sorts of horrible, violent
Right.
situations. You see in the community if you're not necessarily, if you're not with the gang culture or something. And as I said, I worked in the prisons, so I saw a great deal. And what people don't understand is that these guys who are guards, they're just as imprisoned as almost as much as the people
I
who
can
are in there.
imagine being around
Because-
all that
Yeah,
toxic.
happening at any given time.
Yes, I mean, so I'm really, I mean, I think it's really horrific what happened to
To
Megan
her.
Thee Stallion, but I'm sorry that she had to get shot to realize how serious the situation was, because if she realized how serious it was, she wouldn't have been in that situation. It's like
Okay.
women who stay with the guys that beat them and then, and,
We got 5
yeah,
minutes. I
yeah.
want to talk about Monique just for a second. Monique just said that Tyler Perry offered her $500 not to put
$500,000.
$500,000.
There's a big difference.
Well,
I ain't doing
well,
that
the
for
story, the
$500.
narrative has changed for me. I thought it was
Yeah,
500, but since it's 500,000, thank you. That you to just shut up, stop it, And so she was like, "No, just I want you to clear my name."
What exactly did he say? Can you just refresh us?
Well, actually, okay. Do you know the whole story? How she told Oprah, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry
Did they blacklisted her or something
they
like that? right?
blacklisted her, and she was at the Apollo, told her to suck my, you know what?
That's what she said.
The D word, yeah.
Well, here
Okay.
again, I mean, perhaps it's because I'm an educator, but
But-
I go to stupidity one more time.
Right.
I mean, to me, if you have something to say, especially about what's going on in the business, and you're an artist, you could turn this into a film all in itself. Instead of doing that, I would have said thank you, and I would have made a film about being oppressed by what's going on in the business. Don't be stupid. If you have the opportunity, I understand that she wants to speak, but she could have spoken much more explicitly and much more vividly if she made a film or a movie about what was going to happen.
You know, go ahead.
So she should have had better preparation and
Yes,
planning.
yes, yes,
Maybe a
exactly.
couple of dollars, maybe even more than $500,000.
and gotten her message out at the same time.
You know, Monique
I
has
can
had
buy that.
a great career. You know, she was a star.
I
on the
love her. I
Talkers.
love
Well, she had
She's
a great career,
talent,
yeah, definitely.
and she
did.
she can still
She
continue
can.
on. You know, because definitely she still has the audience. She has been a talk show host, the Tonight Show on BET. She has the comedy, the movies that she has done.
Yeah.
You know, I'm quite sure there are people out there that have a script for her, but they are scared for her. I do want to say this before we move on. I know we got 4 minutes, Aki. I got you. Monique, I wish you peace, love, and prosperity. I think you're a phenomenal talent. You know, I really do. But there comes a time not to move on. Yeah, move on, but
I
just
think,
move on. But
I think she's
you-
creative. She needed to be creative. Look what Robert Townsend did. Robert Townsend wasn't getting hired, and he made a movie about not being hired.
And also,
and
look
that's
at
what I'm
Tina
saying.
Turner. Look at Tina
Yes.
Turner. She had to start from the bottom and just go right back up. You know, they're not gods. Those three people that you claim
hallelujah.
that
They
you
are not
claim
gods.
blackballed, they're not God. The God is in you. You have the ability to flip this.
Amen.
That's exactly.
You
Hello.
have the
Please
ability
say it again. Say
There
it
are
again.
people. I got a script for you.
Exactly.
You know, but you know,
Exactly.
let that
Exactly.
go. Taping people and all that, it ain't gonna work. Your
just not
last
with
dying
business.
breath. Hey, black people, 3 minutes. We're gonna do this for one
Yes.
minute. Black people put Biden in office. What
Yes.
do we want for him? What are we gonna do? What's next? Okay.
Well, what has disturbed me is him talk. Oh, I mean, I'm sure he's saying I'm not going to be just president to the blue people. I'm going to be president to the nation. But I think that the people on, as I said, I was an Elizabeth Warren supporter. I want him to stop trying to placate, because that's what got me about that Amy Klobuchar. Oh, I'm going to try to pull in the people on the right. Forget that. Go for the gusto. He already said he may only have one term. Go for the gusto. Go to the
Okay.
left.
Akua.
I'm still waiting for the final say.
Amen.
Amen. And we know who has the
I
final
will
say.
say.
The most high.
Hey, I want to thank my guests. How can they get in contact with you?
Okay, well, you can find me. I have a foundation called PACA, Passing Ancestral Knowledge Along. You can find us on Facebook, and you can find me also on Facebook as Dana McBroom Mano. Stay in touch. I spread peace and love, and I think once people understand that that's what moves the universe, they'll change their lives.
How about you, Akua?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Akua, I am the one. You can reach me, and I'm on Instagram, AK the Great One.
Okay, you can reach us at Sister Talk TV show, Facebook. We're getting the website together. Whose side are you on? Encore
Christ.
presentation 2021. Whose side are you on? Musical.com. It's a new day, everybody. The Wiz. We should start dancing. It's
Ding
Wiz
dong,
and
the witch is
Wiz
dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Yes. Praise
It's a new
God.
day. We have a president.
We'll see
I
what
know
happens.
we'll see what happens. What has this election taught us? It taught me really about the political process. Who's really in control?
Exactly, and how
Yeah.
corrupt they can really
You
get.
can really grit and all that. I want to give my shout out to Zakizi Starman, the creator and the CEO and the director of Who's Sister Talk TV show. I want to give my shout out to Carla. And who else is in there? Tiffany, and also our main crew, Stanley Mitchell. Hey, Stanley. Hey, I am Deetra Kelsey, and I'm wishing you peace, love. Thank you all for tuning in. And remember,
I'm here to listen. Sister Talk. When
Yes.
you need someone
Yes.
who understands, I know what you're missing. Sister Talk. No matter what you're going through, don't worry, I ain't going nowhere. Sister Talk. If you ever feel